The Opel GT is often referred to as the baby Corvette due to its visual similarity to the third-generation Corvette, the C3. Both Opel and Chevrolet are General Motors' own companies, and the similarities between the C3 Corvette and the Opel GT are more than just skin deep. It's widely believed that both the Opel GT and C3 Corvette took their styling cues from the same vehicle, the highly influential 1965 Mako Shark II concept car designed by Bill Mitchell and his team. This is the story of the Opel GT we call the baby Corvette.
The two-seater sports car, the new Opel GT. In addition to looking the part of a sports car, the Opel GT comes with a whole batch of equipment that makes it act like one.
Sold in the U.S. through Buick agencies, the Opel GT was just not a svelte, good-looking body. The research that went into styling both its exterior and interior were studies in aerodynamics and ergonomics. Opel was able to create a completely new car, but utilizing existing mechanical components. It was an effort in international proportions with engineers from Germany, design executives from the U.S., and body craftsmen from France, all involved in developing a completely new car for this unknown brand. Prior to the GT, Opel wasn't exactly what you'd consider a sporting brand. It had introduced the Opel Kadett Rally in 1966, which went on to have considerable success in rallying and toured to Europe later that year. With that success in mind, and with the consideration that a sports car built from the ground up would be cost prohibitive, the Kadett Rally became the raw materials for a true sports car. The only issue was the location of the engine, which in the Kadett Rally was mounted squarely over the front suspension. The Opel GT's suspension engineers argue that it should be moved further back to provide for optimum weight distribution. Two prototypes were built and tested in Germany, and the correct choice was obvious. Aerodynamics played a large part in the design of the Opel GT. The Opel GT was put through extensive wind tunnel testing, which brought the coefficient of drag down nearly to a Porsche 911 level. The camtail, the rear spoiler, and the hideaway headlamps weren't gimmicks. They were all there to improve the car's aerodynamics. Since Opel wasn't equipped to build cars on a small scale, the plan was to build 20,000 a year. The GT's sexy flowing monocoque body was built by Brissoknow and Lotz in France. Up front, the independent suspension consisted of a set of equal-length wishbones, a transverse leaf spring, and tubular shock absorbers. In the back, a solid axle was located by trailing arms and a panhard rod, and coupled to coil springs and tubular shocks. Hey, I want to pause the video real quick. Just want to thank the subscribers to the Boca Brothers YouTube channel. You know, we're noticing that those who watch our videos, only 40%, maybe 30% are subscribers. So that means, 60 to 70% of those who watch our videos are not. So do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to the Boca Brothers YouTube channel. Thanks. Considering all the thought that went into the location of the engine, it's surprising to learn that the Opel GT's weight distribution is nowhere close to ideal. 54% of the car's weight is over the front wheels, with only 46% at the rear, resulting in heavy understeer. Production began in 1968. From the start, the car was powered by either a 1.9-liter inline four-cylinder or, for the truly budget-conscious, a 1.1-liter four. The Opel GT was sold through the Buick dealers in the United States. In those days, Buick's model year ran from September to September, so a car sold in September of 1970 would have been titled as a 1971. Germany's model year ran from January to January, meaning that there was an awful lot of confusion about what parts and equipment were available on which years. Year-to-year changes are relatively subtle. All of the car's major components remained the same for the entire production run. The biggest production year was 1969 with a total of 34,997 GTs produced. In general, most of the unique features of these cars were cosmetic with the exception of the wiring harness. 1970 was a transition year for the Opel GT. Transmission and rear axles were changed in 1970 for the Opel GT, and it was also the final year for the slow-selling 1.9-liter. For 1971, Opel made some major changes, but a handful, like the transmission and rear axle change, were made in the late 1970s cars. The changes made this year, especially in light of the 240Z's introduction, signaled the end of the car even if the final cars were 2 years off. There was also a GTJ sold in Europe that was a stripper model with rubber floor mats where sales had come to an immediate halt. While 14,715 Opel GTs were built in total, just 1,000 of those cars were sold in the home market. The 1972 cars would be nearly identical to the 1971s with only a few badge changes to mark the differences. In the final year, 1973, all Opel seemed to want to do was clear out any remaining GTs in stock. Opel ran out of tail lamp lenses for the Opel GT, and instead of contracting for more, Opel simply grafted on tail lamps from its other car, the Manta. By 1973, when Opel finally pulled the plug on GT production, it had built over 100,000 Opel GTs worldwide, with more than 70,000 coming here to the U.S. It's worth mentioning that until the 240Z stole its thunder, American buyers were paying better than sticker price for the Opel GT. So the good news for the potential Opel GT owner is that there are a good number of cars around. In fact, you can crack open any classified publication or Facebook marketplace in the country and you're likely to find a GT. We found a few here in San Antonio, Texas. The bad news is that it seems that more Opel GTs have suffered more public disgrace than any other Sportster except for the Pontiac Fiero. They've been left to deteriorate under trees. They've been smashed to bits. They've had 350 cubic inch V8s under their tiny hoods. It's a shame that such a smartly styled GT coupe could have been treated so badly for all these years. So the question may be, what's the best year to search for? Beauty, as we're often told, is in the eye of the beholder. The 1969 through 1971 cars offer higher horsepower than the 1972 and later cars, though through all these years of tweaking and tuning, a lot of those horsepower losses have been mitigated by the car's owners. Regardless of the year you choose, you'll find that the Opel GT was a pleasure to drive and own. The end of the line for the Opel GT was officially in 1973. Hey, that wraps up the story on the Opel GT, which we called the Mini Corvette. I want to thank those for watching. Hey, if you're not a subscriber, please do so now. Hit the subscribe button. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. And to those who are subscribed to the Boca Brothers YouTube channel, from the bottom of our hearts, man, we thank you guys so much for making the channel a success. All right, you guys have a great day, great night, great weekend. Catch you later.